So it is Wednesday and it is a really heavy day, like not Wednesdays in general, but today, really heavy in my world. I will get more into that later, but I just thought I would plan a chatty get ready with me, as they're called, and put some makeup on, talk with you over coffee. And on that note, let's go get some coffee and get this going. I'm gonna start out by priming my face 3 different ways. My dry lips, Becca Under Eye Anti-Fatigue Primer, which I told you guys about in my favorites video. This is my 2nd time today putting it on, oh my gosh. And my MAC 24 Hour eyeshadow base, because it is the best eyeshadow primer. Considering it's a day that I may end up crying quite a bit, I don't even know why I'm putting makeup on, but it feels right to do so, and that's the goal for today. So this is the 4th anniversary today of my dad's death. Last night, I did not get sleep. I, like a child, dreading the next day or something, really just put off falling asleep. Needless to say, I've got some good bags under my eyes. Got just a smidge to correct. I figured with it being the 4th anniversary of my dad's death and the long road that it took to get here, like what kind of video can I make to talk about my dad's death on the day that he died? Let's put on makeup, because what the else am I gonna do? On a tangent, I just got the Born This Way by Too Faced concealer. I have problems with concealers. If you are also over 35, 40, etc., you get like a lot of little fine lines and wrinkles on your face, and a lot of concealers show that jazz off and make you look so dry and crusty. And this doesn't seem to do that, at least from the little bit that I've tried it. Of course, I mostly use concealer just to kind of conceal the redness of my face. I have completely abandoned foundation. I just think it's a bane to my existence, so why bother to do it at all, right? Alright, I'm a total crier, so I'm probably gonna cry during this video some, but I figured this would just be like if you and I are hanging out together, doing our makeup, having some coffee, and all day I keep finding myself thinking about like what I was doing this exact moment 4 years ago. And I'm just gonna let that little guy hang out and be a little bit visible today, because I'm not really gonna care that much. And really, you shouldn't either. If you have a blemish, you're human. It's part of skin. You're okay. Models on photo shoots have blemishes. They just have tens of thousands of dollars worth of team members to make sure they don't look human. So 4 years ago, we'd actually just packed up, and we had the car packed up and ready to go. And my phone rang. I realized that, like, oh, I just missed a call. And when I picked it up and I saw it was Bonnie, immediately Mark's phone started to ring. I told him, I was like, oh, it's probably Bonnie, I missed a call. And then it clicked. Why would she call Mark? Why wouldn't she just call me again? And we were standing in our driveway, me on the driver's side and him on the passenger side. And I was looking at him from across the top of the car. And I could see the look in his eyes. I knew somebody had died. It would have never occurred to me it was gonna be Daddy. God, I just put this makeup on. What am I doing today? But there was something in Mark's face. A puzzledness that I just am not used to. And he handed me the phone, and I felt puzzled. And I looked at him and said, did she say Dad? And then I sobbed. I sobbed really loud, and I guarantee you everybody on my street could hear me. As you can tell from my reaction then and now, this was not something that we had anticipated. I don't know how I'm going to talk about death and put on makeup at the same time. This is complicated. Well, I'm done with my face makeup, so I guess I'm just gonna put on eyeshadow. What else do I do? I honestly, I reached out over social media and just said our family needed prayers And one of my friends, she's one of the best friends I've ever known, she dropped everything she was doing and drove, it's like 40 minutes I think to get here. She dropped everything she was doing and she came here to help Mark and me and to keep me calm. I remember we went to Chipotle of all things because we needed lunch. And we still had to turn around and drive across the state. We still had to go to my hometown that night. My daddy was a really good man. I am not saying he was a saint. He was very far from it. You know, if the goal is to end well, I think he did a good job at that. His life became about being a servant to others and helping other people. And I miss him every day. I'm not thinking clearly, so if I put my makeup in the wrong order, that won't be surprising. So I get nervous posting videos like this because I don't know, you know, thank you to each of you who have subscribed to me in the last couple months. I'm incredibly thankful. You have no idea. I'm afraid a video like this will run off like 2/3 of you immediately and make you think, this is not the crap that I've signed up for. Death is a really normal, natural part of living, and I know that's a big duh, but we don't deal well with death as a culture. Honestly, we have a rather unhealthy view of it. People are afraid, and I get it. I get it. We're afraid of losing the people that we love, and we're afraid of like losing this experience of being alive because we have no idea what the other side will feel like, and I get it. It's gonna happen anyhow, and that shouldn't be a morbid fact. That shouldn't be something that, like, if you feel upset hearing somebody say that while they're putting on their makeup, then we really have to question why. Death is not a sign of being unhealthy or being demented or perverted or demonic. Death is a part of life. Like, there are a lot of things wrong with this world. There are a lot of things wrong with this life, but dying isn't one of them. It's part of life. So I would really like to kind of normalize the conversation a little bit. No, I'm not going to start making all my videos about death because this is actually a channel about living. And grief can take over your living experience. I know for me it did. It most certainly did for about 2 years after my dad died. You wanna know what I was doing the moment my dad took his final breath? I was bleaching my hair. I was in my bathroom getting ready for my trip across the state, and my roots were like 2 inches deep and black compared to the platinum blonde hair that I had at the time. And I was in the bathroom bleaching my hair when my dad took his final breath. And then to realize I was still breathing and that he wasn't. I think I should paint my whole face pink today because there might be a lot of crying, and pink would just like work with it, right? Wouldn't it? I did actually think that today I should go for a kind of ethereal, some people would call it a festival look. I'm going to call it like a heavenly ethereal look. And I have no idea what I'm doing because I am not a makeup artist. I am a makeup enthusiast, and a new one at that. Lovely Viseart palette seemed to be a good starting point for whatever I'm trying to do. The next couple years I really did struggle with depression, and over the last 4 years I've gone to 2 different therapists to work through some of the different baggage I have, not just about my dad's death, but about the adoption process, about getting older, about family dynamics, you know, just life stuff. And I think that a lot of us need therapy and either are afraid to get it, don't know how to get it, or are going to the wrong person to get it. But in that 2-year period, severe case of insomnia and dang near hallucinations of darkness trying to get me. I know that sounds like nuts. I'm not trying to sound nuts, but grief, lack of sleep, shock, these things really can add into being, I don't know, just a big headache and a big pain in your butt. And most of the people in your life won't get it. If this is something that you go through, if this is something you personally experience also, the people who love you won't even understand it. And that includes some people who also lost someone they love. Like not everyone is going to understand what you're going through and how you're going through it. And that actually kind of compounds the pain and the depression and the isolation that you may feel during those struggles. Because if you are in a dark place, people kind of start to panic and they either, smother you, or they kind of abandon you, and you can't hold that against them either because it's not their circus to fight with. There is actually a group called the dinnerparty.org where it's people who are in their 20s and 30s who are experiencing grief, and they get together, I think it's like once a month, and it's all across the country and maybe even across the world. They get together to be able to talk normally about grief in ways that even their own family members or friends really can't understand. And that's why I imagine this video is gonna be really hard for some people to watch. But if you're also in this boat of wanting to talk to somebody about grief that you have experienced or are experiencing, you may want to check dinnerparty.org. I'll put the link below, and because there may be a location close to you. So for some people, they may actually wonder what on earth I am doing a video putting on makeup on the anniversary of my dad's death for. That it may almost feel sacrilegious somehow, or disrespectful, or just completely frivolous and stupid. But in reality, what it is it's like, again, an attempt at just normalcy. And it's not that I want to treat today like it's the same as any other day. This is a bit of a ceremony for me, and this will never be just another day for me, ever. This is my dad's new birthday. There's actually a lot of humor in the fact that I'm putting on makeup today to celebrate my dad, because my dad did not like makeup. So even though my dad's not into makeup, I'm doing me. I'm using his anniversary to remind myself to be alive as who I am. And I don't have to do my makeup and my face how it would please my dad. And I don't have to live my life in a way that would please my dad. And that's something that really bothers me after death, is the concept that we have to live in a way to make a dead person proud. Nothing will make him prouder, nothing would make him prouder than for me to be who I am and to feel good about who I am. So that is something that I'm actively pursuing. I'm a Christian, but I have salty language in case you haven't picked up. I'm kind of like making anyone else happy. God made me to be me and to be Mark's wife. And that's my focus right there, is how can I be my truest self and do so within a parameter that's also pleasing to my husband. And everything else, anyone who loves me is going to be happy with me being who I am. I know I'd be happy for you being who you are, like who you really are, not who you think you should be, and not who someone else told you you should be, or who someone else told you you are, but who you are, like deep in your gut. There's someone there you're still trying to figure out how to unearth, and I'm in the same boat. So here we are. But in that year after my dad died, that first year in particular, I stopped showering. I don't even know how the time passed. I just existed, and barely. Apparently cancer patients are often told to keep living their lives, to get up every day and to take a shower and to put on nice clothes and to do their makeup and to do their hair. What on earth is more ethereal than the Jolie Bomb.com palette? I mean, if I'm gonna add some ethereal sparkle to my face, I think this might be it. Somebody teach me how to use this. Toddy, I'm mad. If right now you're going through grief and you haven't before, know that you're gonna make it through. Know that even if you feel like you have no idea how you're gonna make it through, and I still have days that I don't know how I'm making it through, grief is normal, and it makes people wildly uncomfortable, and you are going to lose friends, and at times you're gonna feel really isolated and alienated. The Lord has you, even when you feel like He doesn't. On a completely random tangent about all this, oh my gosh. So Mark and I have been watching a documentary this week called Flint Town. It's I don't know how many episodes it is, but it's a season on Netflix about Flint, Michigan. It is so good and so intense and so depressing, but it's really, all things, I just try to remember all things are a reminder of this world, of what we want this world to be, of how this world can be, and how we bring out the best in each other in hard times, and Flint Town really taps into that. I don't want to do my whole face in this. I'm highlighting everything. And that's not even the color I meant to highlight just then. This is the Becca Moonchild highlighter. It is great for cool tones. I'm sure you already know that. Every color in it is kind of magical and ethereal and astronauty all at the same time. And not astronauty like Fenty. That's totally different. The rest of the day is going to be spent going really slowly, carefully. I'm reading a book about marriage, a great book, Keep Your Love On. I'm going to continue reading that. I'm going to read the Bible. I'm going to pray and meditate with some stones. I'm going to upload this video, and I don't know, do any of you guys watch Gilmore Girls? And Gilmore Girls, the day that Luke's dad dies, he has an annual thing, and it's been like 10 or 20 years since his dad had died. He has something he calls Luke's Dark Day, and while I don't want today to be a dark day, obviously, I totally still relate to the concept of, there's no way for me to think of this day as anything other than what this day is. I got some blue eyebrows, which I'm actually kind of liking. I had loosely thought out, what kind of look at least I was going for, even though I didn't know what products I was going to use. And I seriously had considered, if I'm going to cry all day anyhow, I could just use black eyeliner and do the Kat Von D basket case kind of smudge effect, feel real grungy, roll with it. I thought about doing something very naturey and natural, which would be true to my dad and his preferred aesthetic. And in the end, I decided to go with whatever this is, because this is my aesthetic and this is true to who I am, and if the tears fall, then the tears fall. So I feel like I just look really sick now. I don't think that worked as intended. My eyes are definitely bloodshot right now, thanks to a lack of sleep, a significant amount of crying, and some massive glitter fallout. Why not put some mascara on? Because how can you tell if an angel is crying if she doesn't have black streaks down her face, right? So I know that today's Get Ready With Me has been, like I said earlier, really somber. My dad is otherworldly now. He is no longer of flesh and skin and bone and earth the way that we are. And sometimes I just want to feel a little closer to that inner sparkle. Every day that I'm here, I will miss him so much. And sometimes if I could just manifest outwardly a little bit of the sparkle inside that I feel like we're composed of, and that he's composed of now fully, and now all he is his inner sparkle. I don't know, I've never felt more alive than while I was engaged and getting married to Mark, and right after my dad died. And I would stand outside at night and watch the pine trees above me, and I just felt connected to that stuff inside of me that's more than flesh and bones, more than blood, more than something that can be looked at through a microscope. And I guess that's part of why I started playing with makeup in the first place last year, because I want to get more in touch with manifesting outwardly in every way. Even my house is not nearly the sparkle that I want it to be to manifest what I think that the experience of living really is. Things are so practical. I'm not a practical person. I don't want a life without magic. Total babbling, get ready with me, and I don't even know what I'm getting ready for other than when I die you can bury me with my face like this. Oh, I do not want to be buried with a face full of nude makeup. Anyhow, I have some really great books to recommend on grief and loss. I may make some more videos, a bit of a series about grief, and this is one of them. And if you're going through something, feel free to leave a comment. Talk about how you got through it. Tell me if makeup has gotten you through a hard time in your life. Tell me if you can relate to going a year without showering. But let me know what you think about this, and if this video was a bummer, feel free to tell me in the comments that this video was a bummer. And if you have any tips on how to work with pressed glitter palettes like bomb.com palette, please let me know, because I don't know how to deal with that. I guess there's always a lot we could say about death and about normalizing it. But then, you know, like I said, even afterward, going about my life and over the last 4 years, realizing how awkward people get when you mention death, when you mention your dad's death, when you mention grief, when you mention depression, when you mention anything that isn't like friggin' bubbles and rainbows and some fake Paul Logan Paul, Jake Paul crap, whatever their names are. You know, people want to hear about that junk, but when you get serious and you say, listen, I'm struggling right now. I'm dealing with things I've never known how to deal with. And maybe, you know, there are people who deal with grief and horrible things from very young ages. And, you know, hopefully they don't look down on those of us who deal with it for the first time in our 30s and are hit like a railroad car hit us. Because, you know, you just don't know how to deal with it until you're in it. But, you know, my grief and my depression was not my friend's problems. And what I was going through, what my family was going through, what Mark was going through, what our marriage was going through, it was more than a lot of people needed to deal with. They had their own lives, and I understand. That's okay. That's okay. But if you're in that area right now, if you've lost someone and you feel like you're losing your entire world, you feel like you're losing yourself, maybe your marriage, your friendships, your mind, know that you're not alone, and know that you will get through it. Know that somehow you will wake up and think, how has it been 4 years? How has it been 4 years, and how am I still breathing and still laughing, or laughing again? But, you know, you'll see that sometimes you'll have inappropriate jokes or something. You know, you're gonna deal with grief different ways, and just anyhow, it can be a really lonely experience, but know that you're not alone. And whatever you're going through, know, number one, you're gonna make mistakes because you're human. You're gonna sit in your depression too long, or you may rely on some unhealthy things to feel better. Shopping, therapy, alcohol, men, I don't know. There are a million ways to find a vice to distract you with. Video games on your phone, a million different vices to distract you from pain or loneliness or fear and anxiety that you're facing. You know, when I say that God loves you exactly who you are and how you are and as you are, He does love you, including His grace covers all those mistakes that we make. That doesn't mean that we should continue to make them. And, you know, like I said last night, I fought going to sleep. I really fought going to sleep, and I needed to just like be a big girl and realize this morning was gonna come whether or not I tried to stay awake all night. And I should have just gone to bed and gotten some sleep and gotten up and mowed the grass. But you know, really, if all you can do is breathe, just breathe. And when you find room for something else, make sure it's who you are. But who you are comes down to, like, are you calm and placid? Are you someone who's enthusiastic and rambunctious? Are you peaceful? Are you high energy? Are you colorful? Are you beige? Beige is not a bad thing if that's who you are. Beige is a bad thing if who you are is colorful and you're afraid to be anything but beige. Or if you're being beige because Kim Kardashian is beige. Like, you need to be who you are, and that person is gonna get you through this, even when you don't feel like you can get through it. God made you strong. God made you inside of yourself strong. And we are super weak when we rely on other humans to provide us strength or comfort or joy. Anyhow, I'm gonna stop babbling and sermonizing and showing off my crazy full face highlight and just tell you that I love you and that clearly God does too. And if you're going through hard times, I'm sorry. And if you're celebrating a sad anniversary soon, I'm sorry. And if you've recently buried somebody who you love, I'm sorry. And we will let our makeup run together. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll tune in again soon.